Hi, welcome everyone. Here we are on day 4 already of trusting your decisions. And today we're going to look at how do we listen and access our intuition? Because if we have a lack of trust in ourselves, that means that we're not either listening to our intuition or we're not believing that we actually have it or that it could be helpful to us. So today we're going to look at some ways that you can really tune into what your intuition is telling you, which will be a huge part of trusting yourself. So let's get started. Here we go. So the question, which voice are you listening to? We have the voice of fear that will tell us, don't do that, that's not safe, maybe not in those words, but we all have a voice of fear, everyone that I've met anyway. So there's the voice of fear. There's the voice of should. Well, I should do this. Maybe that's located at a different place. Maybe you have a voice of your mom that you can hear telling you, don't do that. I told you that caused trouble, whatever it might be. Or maybe it's a very positive, loving voice from your mom. So listen to that one. Or perhaps it's the voice of other people's opinion telling you, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? All of those voices that we've taken on from other people that aren't helpful to us, and yet we keep listening to them if we're not careful and aware. And then there's the voice of our body consciousness, our intuition, our soul, that will really give us good information, good guidance. The hardest part is just remembering to tune in and really starting to lean into it so that we trust it. So once you have the question of what it is that you're deciding, the criteria of what it is that you want, that you've looked at what the blocks are and decided, do I want this more than I want to deal with this block? And you're still going and you want to continue forward to make this decision or to follow through with this decision, just ask the question, what do I want here? Or whatever question you might have about this particular situation, and just start listening for answers. It's the same as if you were with a friend and you asked a question and then you just kept on talking and never listened to the answer. When we're asking a question of ourselves, of our soul, of our intuition, of God, we need to be quiet long enough to hear the answer for it. So we need to make space inside of ourselves and around ourselves to be able to listen to it. So ask the question and then start listening, either in meditation or just throughout the day. Oftentimes for me, the answers come when I'm focused on something else. All of a sudden, when my conscious mind is focused on something else, my unconscious or my intuition has space to bring the answer forward. Another thing that you can do is, if you're so inclined, to call in the light from the highest source for answers here. Or say a prayer, very similar thing. And if you're praying, I would suggest that you pray for clarity for your next step and the courage to take it. Sometimes we pray to have the situation or the person removed, or that that the situation is taken away from us so that we don't have to deal with it. So part of that acceptance is, well, here it is. For some reason, here it is in my life. So I don't have a clue what to do with it. So say a prayer for, I could use some clarity on what my next step is. I don't have to solve it all at once, but what is my next step here? And this next one is an interesting, it's an interesting strategy, and it sounds kind of silly, and I'm not being flippant, but sometimes we tell ourselves, I don't know if I want this or if I want this, but perhaps there is a part of you that does know. Perhaps there's a part of you that would kind of prefer this one over that. And sometimes when you don't know, it means either one is fine. But if you would want to try out this, just flip a coin. That heads means I go this way and tails means I go this way. and you get heads, and that you feel inside of you kind of your energy drop or a little sense of disappointment, that may mean that a part of you was wanting the other choice. So try that out. It's really kind of fun to see the reactions or inside of us that really wants something but just hasn't brought it forward. Maybe we're not used to asking ourselves what we want or used to being able to express it. So it's just an interesting way of getting information or getting how you feel about an information. Another strategy is to ask the question before you go to sleep, and ask the question that you might receive guidance in your dream state. Our unconscious is always clearing out or bringing to a head or issues that we're dealing with, or issues that are up for us right at this time. And if it's time for you to get an answer, just ask that before you go to sleep. What's for my highest good here? How can I go about getting this? You will often receive guidance either in the form of a dream, or perhaps you'll wake up the next day and have clarity on it. But this is a very easy, powerful strategy to have. And you might want to keep a journal by your bed in case you start getting answers when you first wake up. And the next strategy is really start to notice, where does the voice of fear reside in me? Where does the voice of I should reside in me? They may be different places. Where does the voice of my mother? For me, my mother's right here. You can always tell, okay, this is mom. For me, for the intuition, it's more of a knowing. It's more of a knowing and a feeling that I have of what to do next. Or maybe I'll get an image in my mind of what the next step is. But just begin to notice throughout the day when you ask a question or are hearing something from the inside, from the inner, where is that located? And if you're not sure what voice you're listening to, just ask yourself or notice, is it promoting negativity and judgment and againstness against yourself or someone else? Or does it promote loving? And so be careful of the voice that you listen to, that it's one that promotes loving and promotes your highest good. And sometimes it takes practice tuning into that frequency, just like on a radio. Each of those voices, and of course they're not real voices, but they are information or guidance that we're getting. And each of them have a particular frequency, just like the channels on the radio. So just practice tuning in and listening to which voice this is. And if it's my intuition, if it's from my soul, if it's from the higher source for me, you can start to trust that. And the last process, or the last strategy for today, is to be able to physically step into options and listen to what your body's saying about them, what reaction your body has. Because oftentimes we sit in our chairs and ask ourselves, should I do this or should I do that? Or try to figure it out. And our mental level is great and awesome about a lot of things, but it's not designed to solve every decision. And if we're trying to figure everything out and it hasn't worked, it may not be that we may need to ask the question and get information from a different level of consciousness. So I'm going to lead you through that process now of how you can get information from your body. So think of a decision that you have to make that has at least two options. And this works best if you stand up. So you can go ahead and stand up now. And so if you have more than two options, that's fine. You can practice any more than two on your own, but I just want to teach this to you. So just imagine one of those options out in front of you and see yourself in that situation as if you're in it now, for real. Even if you've never been there before, just imagine to the extent that you can. And then physically take a step forward into that and imagine that you're there now so that your body's experiencing what that's like. And just notice now and tune into, how does my body feel when I do this? What is my energy like? Do I feel enthused? Do I feel expansive? Do I feel free? Or do I have a big pit in my stomach? Did my energy drop? Did I just turn off and my heart closed? So these are some signs that your body will tell you as to what its reaction is. Now, this doesn't mean that if you get a pit in your stomach, that means no. It could mean that part simply needs more information before it commits. So now step back out of there. Shake it off. You can literally just shake your arms and your hands so that any parts of that energy gets off of you. Set that image aside. And now out in front of you, see that other possibility, other choice that you could make, and see yourself in that one as if you're experiencing it now. And when that gets clear to you, even if you don't have all the details, just physically now step into that option. And just take a deep breath and let that go and just tune into your body, not judging, just tune in, observe, notice what you notice. Notice what you're experiencing. Notice your energy. Is it different than the other one? And then step back out and shake that off. And with the differences in the two of them, you may have a clearer idea of which would work better for you, especially stepping into it and being able to lean into it. You get out of the mental level, you get out of trying to figure it out, and you get into the part of you that can really start to experience that and get a sense of, oh, I don't think this is right for me, or, oh my gosh, yes, this is what I want. Sometimes it's not that extreme. Sometimes it's more subtle. Some people don't feel anything at all when they first do this process because they're not used to tuning in on that level. So don't judge yourself if you don't get anything. Just set your intention to be open to what your body's telling you. So as always, please contact me at info@DixieClark if you have any questions. Also remember the Q&A, the live Q&A, Friday, August 19th on Zoom at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. You'll be getting a link that day. And also I wanted to share with you that I'm doing a complimentary webinar on Saturday morning, August 20th, called Releasing Rules of Perfection and Aligning with Soul. And there's a place where you can read more about that and register if you're interested. So I'd like to share that with you. It's very powerful information. So thanks for your time and hope you enjoyed today. Hope you're learning from this and practicing what you're learning. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care.